My name is Kelsey. My last name is Murray. I'm going to be talking about deaf mental health and like getting well business, like rehabs. The American Disability Act, or ADA, says that a person who is deaf has the right to have communication access that is equal, similar, like for an example, a person in a wheelchair, they have access to ramps, and it's the same, the equal access. However, sometimes that doesn't always happen. Sometimes rehabs, they won't have an interpreter for a deaf person or a deaf client. I called a rehab around here and I said, I'm not going to say which one I called, but I asked, if you have a deaf client come to your facility, do you give the interpreter, or how does that work? And he told me, no, they must have an interpreter. I'm not going to provide an interpreter. And I told him, okay, I see. Okay, well, that's the law says that you can't do that. You must give the interpreter, but whatever. Anyways, one study had shown that only 17% of deaf signers have interpreters for healthcare services. So some rehabs have intake, like an interview, where they decide if you are an addict or if it's mental health or whatever. So for deaf clients, they have to have an interpreter there to answer for them. So maybe sometimes the information is wrong. Well, the interpreter doesn't understand. Maybe they're wrong about what the deaf client had to say, or the deaf client feels like they're not okay sharing their feelings like that, their story with the interpreter. Again, that person, maybe they just met, they're not okay with sharing their story with the interpreter, maybe. Deaf Client Services, or DCS, is in San Diego, and they have services for deaf people. They have things like counseling, support groups, and they have crisis intervention. They also help with deaf people finding work, like jobs and training for those jobs. They have different things outside of behavioral health. Alright, so there's a rehab called Signs of Life. It's the only rehab in America, in the United States, for deaf and hard of hearing people. Only one. So they're in San Diego, but it's in San Diego. It's kind of funny. And they have patients, outpatient and inpatient programs. It just depends on your insurance. Maybe the money, what it'll pay for, it just depends on your insurance plan and your health plan, whatever it'll accept and cover. So they have things like counseling, they help with finding work and improving your skills. You could become a better worker, training, and help with that. Other places you could go were like places like AA or NA.